Hello, I'm James Williams, and this is Chimes Media. Right, well, I've just finished producing an article about the history of chimney sweeps. Now, I didn't do all the historical research myself, but an organisation, educational organisation called Allocation, has done all the donkey work on that one, and a very good article. It's in 5 parts on Chimes Media, the history section. It caused a bit of a stir in the sense that you tend to reflect on how bad things were in the past and some of the horrific things that happened to children. And you think about like the chimney sweeps that were used not just in the UK, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, but also Europe and even in America as well. And they went through some horrific things and some terrible, terrible deaths, being burned alive, 6-year-old children, that sort of thing. Absolutely horrific. And when you see today, they call them the snowflake generation, but there is a lot of complacency about what has happened in the past. They don't seem to understand that the white privilege, the male privilege, was hardly anything but. How can you say that a little 6-year-old boy being forced to go up a chimney where he risks being killed at any time, suffocating, claustrophobic, having burning embers falling upon him and things like that as well. And even if he gets to the top and finishes cleaning, there's no guarantee that the chimney pot he's squeezed out of is strong enough to hold him. Many of them didn't. They crashed to their death. And even if they survived all that, and some of them were working, 4 to 20 chimney pots a day, chimneys a day, and even if they survived that, some of the so-called industrial diseases got to him. Many of the boys ended up with scrotal cancer by the time they reached puberty. And many of them had also deformed limbs, stunted growth. They were poorly fed and cared for. Many of them didn't wash properly. They weren't looked after. And we've done this, and this has gone on for hundreds of years, and I believe it is still going on in other parts of the world, even in the 21st century. But what are we doing? What are we doing? The media, you have to say, I'm having to go at the media, yes, because I think they deserve it. They are very often, I'm not talking about the sort of new journalist that's trying to make a go for himself, but they're very often the ones that are established are on very good salaries, fat salaries, and they live exclusive lives from the rest of us. And then you see the whinging university students, the leftists that they're called, the Antifa mobs and all that stuff. Many of them are really decadent. It's a decadent expression of their upset and hurt. It's unbelievable that these people have the audacity to complain and whinge about their lot or the way life is terrible when they've got no idea of what happened in the past. No idea at all. It's incredible. The white Western population that came out of Europe mainly, right? They suffered famines. Many of them froze to death. They had really harsh conditions of all kinds. They had to deal with bubonic plagues and just like anybody else. They weren't privileged. The white population did not come from privilege. They fought their way through all these hardships and terrible things and atrocities to get where they have got today, or where the society is today, where actually I'm allowed to sit here and talk to you, and we're able to say things to each other. Well, as far as we're allowed to, with the authoritarianism of our government. So, what are we talking about when we're having a whinge? We've got no grounds for it. Just look at some history, of the real history of people. There isn't a privilege. Everyone suffered. Everyone had it really bad. And to say that male privilege existed when the men were the ones who had to go to jail if their wives ran up debts and things like that, you know, it's a nonsense, a complete nonsense. And it's just pure decadence driven by a very privileged sect that call themselves feminists and social justice warriors. They have no grounds to. Anyway, that's all for now. That's food for thought. So wherever you are, take care of yourself and see you next time. Thanks for watching.